Give everybody a chance to tune on in before I start diving into the topic for today. Hopefully you all enjoying Monday thus far. Starting the week off with a bang. Starting the week off on a positive and healthy note. Hopefully everything is going smooth for you all. Middle of December, we almost entering 2021. We at the end of 2020, man. So hopefully you all are accomplishing some goals, getting things done. Jamar, peace. What's going on with you, my brother? How you living? How you feeling? Give everybody a chance to tune in before I dive into this topic, man. This may ruffle some feathers, but it is what it is. It is what it is, man. I don't care anything about ruffling feathers, man. It's just one of those things where it's the truth. Truth hurts. Like they say, the truth hurts the guilty. So we can't be afraid to speak the truth. Antoinette, peace. What's going on with you, queen? How you living? Oh, Jamar, that's peace. That's big. I'm sure the moms will appreciate that. Magic Realms, peace. What's going on with you, family? Yeah, Jamar, I'm sure the moms will appreciate it. Sweet Tea, peace. What's going on with you? Hey, Jamar, you just financially broke, man. Mentally, you wealthy. Mentally, you rich. So financially, you just broke for the time being, man. You're going to replenish that. Because like I said, mentally, you wealthy. Mentally, you rich. So it's all good. It's all good, man. You'll replenish the money that you just spent, man. Like I said, that bank account, the true bank account is the mind. So you can easily replenish that. That ain't a big deal. It's no biggie. Tavis, peace. What's going on with you, my brother? Give y'all about another minute or so, man, before I really start building, man, get some things off my chest in regards to the subject matter or the title of the video today. As y'all see how I'm feeling today, man. Just stop believing in these pastors more than you believe in your kids and yourself.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
What's going on, man?
All right, likewise. Have a good one.
How are you? All right, peace, people. Had to collect that mail. Y'all know how that go. Back to it though. But like I said, man, we gotta stop trusting. We gotta stop trusting that church and believing in that church and investing in that church more than we invest in ourselves and our kids, man, just our families in general. So that's the topic for today, man. I'm sick of seeing it, man. People willing to give their last dime to this church, but if their child comes to them with a business idea, a business proposition, then they skeptical, they hesitant. They don't want to invest that money into that business idea, that business proposition. But let the pastor pass that collection plate around, man, and tell you that you got to pay that 10% as we talked about. Then you're going to give your last dime to this pastor. You're going to give your last dime to this church. Why not give your last dime to your child? Why not give that last dime to yourself to help build a better future for yourself and for your family and for your children? So it's getting crazy and it's getting real out here, man. We believe in these pastors more than we believe in ourselves. We believe in these pastors more than we believe in our kids. We believe in that church more than we believe in our own family at times. We invest in that church more than we invest in ourselves. We invest in that church more than we invest in our children. And what is that church doing for you? What is that church doing for us? That church is doing absolutely nothing but selling you false hope, fabrication, lies, preaching lies to you, won't tell you the truth, misleading you, preying on your emotions. That's what the church is doing, is pimping you. But we invested in that church. We got churches out here that look like football stadiums. And the people that are over that church are doing absolutely nothing for the people, for the congregation. They wicked and they corrupt just like the politicians, and some of them are working with some of these crooked politicians. They all in bed together. But they ain't got that Bible down down pat in regards to the memory, and they preaching that Bible to you, and they got you. They pimping you. They pimping you. They utilizing that Bible to pimp you. They utilizing their knowledge of that Bible to pimp you. Their memorization of that Bible, they utilizing that to pimp you. And we fall for it every Sunday. We fall for it every Sunday. So again, what is that church doing for you? Why are you giving that church your last dime? But like I said, if your kids come to you and they need that last dime for a nice business proposition, man, something that they conjured up that's revolving around their passion, their talents, their skills, their interests, you hesitant, you don't want to get that last dime to them. But when that collection plate comes, you willing to throw that last dime into the last few dollars, you willing to throw it in that collection plate. Like that's the world that we living in. That's the world that we living in, man. You believe in those lies before you believe anything that your kids, any dream that your kid has, you don't believe in that. You shooting that dream down. But you believe in all that nonsense in the church. I've seen it too often. I've seen it too often, man. These babies, man, they grow up large aspirations, man, big dreams. And I've watched the adults just shoot it down, tell them they need to be more realistic, tell them they need to get more realistic with their thinking. They need to minimize that dream. They need to minimize those aspirations. But here y'all in church every Sunday, dreaming big, praying big, and things of that nature. But when that child comes to you with that big idea, that big aspiration, that big dream, now you shooting it down. Tell them they need to be more realistic. Well, y'all need to be more realistic and get up out of that church. Like, we need to be more realistic and get up out of that church, man. That's part of the problem. Lindell Peace, what's going on with you? So just analyze the lifestyle of these pastors, man. Just analyze and examine how these pastors are out here living. And then just analyze and examine how the congregation is out here living. Just analyze it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all see what I'm talking about. Y'all see the corruption. Y'all see the wickedness. Y'all see the chaos. You could just analyze it, man. Just look at the congregation every Sunday. And for the most part, like we've already discussed, it's predominantly women, man. So they really prey on the emotions of women. They really prey on the emotions of women. That's what a lot of these religions do. A lot of these religions definitely enslave the mind of a woman. So a lot of these women, they talking about women's rights and things of that nature. Well, if you a woman and you subscribing to a lot of religions out here that if you subscribing to them as a woman, then you enslaving yourself by simply subscribing to that religion and following that pastor. So I see a lot of people talking about the rights of women in certain aspects of life and certain facets of life, but I don't see them talking about it in regards to religion. A lot of these religions out here don't view a woman as high as they should. They don't. But for the most part, when you look in that congregation, it's predominantly women. It's dominated by women. That's the congregation. But do that religion really respect you as a woman? Do those scriptures really respect you as a woman? So those are some questions you got to ask yourself. Those are some questions you got to ask yourself, man. Really do the knowledge to what it is that you subscribing to and following and putting all your money into. For the most part, people don't do that. You invest in all your money, you invest in all your time, you invest in all your energy into this particular church, into this particular religion. Why not do the knowledge to it? Why not research it? Why not have all the intel that you may need instead of just blindly following it? But again, if you did the knowledge to it, if you researched it and you studied it, then more than likely you wouldn't be following it in the first place. So that's why they discourage that. And that's what a lot of religions discourage, man. They discourage you to attain that knowledge. They discourage you from becoming wiser. They discourage that wisdom. They say when you attain that wisdom, it's going to make you weaker. That's somewhere in the scriptures. So they discouraging you from becoming a wise man or a wise woman. Why would I want to follow anything like that? Why would I want to adhere to anything like that that is discouraging me from becoming wiser, that is discouraging me from acquiring more knowledge, information, intel, data, whatever the case may be? Why would I want to adhere to a lifestyle that promotes that and encourages that? I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to be a part of that. But yet we consistently subscribe to these type of lifestyles, man, that discourage our growth and development. And a lot of these religions, mentally, they discourage your growth and development. And that's just an actual fact. If you're not researching or studying anything outside of that religion, then it is a problem. That's problematic. That is hindering your mental growth and development. I don't want any parts of anything along those lines, point blank, period. If I don't have the freedom to elevate my mind within a certain group, then I am going to remove myself from the association with that group. Nick, peace, my brother. What's going on with you? Oh, Antoinette, most definitely. No problem. I have definitely been there, done that. Like I said, I was involved heavy in that lifestyle just growing up, and some of the things that I witnessed just confirmed my stance today. That's actually what shaped the person I am today, and it shaped my mentality. Like I said, it's a hard truth, but at the end of the day, when you really look at it for what it is, not what you want it to be, then that's when you start to really see that truth. That's when that truth really starts to unravel itself. And sometimes it can be a hard pill to swallow, especially considering the fact that it may be a lifestyle that you was involved with since birth. So that sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, but at the same time, man, I'd rather live in that truth than just continuing following a lie and something that's destructive, wicked, chaotic, whatever the case may be. I would much rather live that type of life, man. I'd much rather follow the truth and just live according to the truth, opposed to just blindly following a lie or just following something because I'm choosing to look at it for what I want it to be and not what it actually is. Montel, peace, what's going on? Yeah, Lindell, and a lot of times when we dealing with the church in regards to just putting that money into the church, they do a lot of guilt tripping. And that's another thing that I don't necessarily appreciate. They do a lot of guilt tripping, man. They just try to make you feel, and this is not every church, obviously, but for the most part, it's a lot of churches that fit this criteria, fit this bill, but they try to guilt trip you and make you feel guilty for not having the money to invest in the church, not having the money to put in that collection plate, as if there are not other ways to contribute. So a lot of churches make you feel guilty, and I've seen this with my own eyes, and I've heard it with my own ears. So a lot of these churches, a lot of these places just try to guilt trip you in regards to why you may not be able to put the money into the collection plate and invest your money into this church. You just may not have it, but they want to make you feel guilty. And I've seen that guilt conquer people within the congregation. And that's when they start to give their last dime, their last penny to that church, because that guilt trip got the best of them. That church made them feel guilty. They really don't have it to give. And that $10 that they put in the collection plate was their last $10, man. And that $10 could have been utilized to pay a light bill. Now their lights cut off. And when them lights get cut off, what the pastor gonna do for them? The pastor ain't gonna give them that money. The pastor more than likely just gonna pray for the person. So at the end of the day, it's like the church and these pastors realize that they need the money in order to function. But when the congregation is in need of the money, basically the only piece of advice they giving the congregation is to just pray. Well, no, that's not how y'all operating. Y'all know that y'all need the money, hence why y'all passing the collection plate around. So y'all know y'all need to operate monetarily. Y'all need this money. So your congregation is no different. But when it's time for your congregation to need money, when it's time to generate revenue for your congregation, then all of a sudden now all we got to do is come together and pray. Why not pull that money together for the congregation? Why not put that collection plate or pass that collection plate around for every member in the congregation and let them get a hit of that money so that they can get themselves together and get their life together? It's enough people in that congregation to practice, like, what is it? Revolving credit. It's enough people in that congregation to practice group economics. So everybody in that congregation should have some type of endeavor that was funded by their church. Everybody in the congregation. Why is that not happening? It's enough members in these congregations, man, to where everybody that goes to these churches, they should be able to finance something via the funding of the church, just by simply passing that plate around and funding that endeavor. Bonafide, most definitely. That's it. That's it. We just got to come together. We got to hold hands, and we got to pray for whoever it is that had their lights cut off. So we just got to pray and pray and pray. Like, that's not the only solution. Just like they know that that's not the only solution. Hence why they know that they need this money. They need the money to keep the church operating. So it's the same way for the congregation. It's the same way for that congregation. You're not just going to necessarily, and that's even in the scriptures, man. Faith without works is dead. So we can't just pray for the finances. We can't just pray for the money. We can't just pray for more money. Like, you got to put in work. Practical things have to happen in order for you to generate the income. That's just a fact of life. So we ain't just praying for the money and then the money just gonna come to you. That's not necessarily how it works. You gotta also put in some work. And that's the part where a lot of people are missing. Like, no, like, just like you gotta pass that plate around to get the people to put their money in it, certain things that you would have to do other than praying in regards to helping somebody else in their situation financially. Oh, Fungate, what's going on? And it's not a surprise that the notifications are usually delayed. That doesn't surprise me. You know how YouTube and you know how social media can get when it comes to things along those lines. Oh, Montel, we definitely got some pastors that's in the know. But again, like I break down the percentages all the time, that's probably a select few, very small percentage. But you definitely have a small percentage of pastors that are in the know. But for the most part, most of them are corrupt, most of them are wicked. And that's just a hard pill to swallow. But just for the most part, man, it's a lot of wickedness that goes on. Just like with anything, when you dealing with a hierarchy, like, the higher you get up that ladder, the more wicked and corrupt it tends to be and it tends to get. And we face that with everything, man. When you're dealing with corporations, the higher up you get, more corrupt and wicked you tend to get. Same with the church. Same apply. Appreciate the donation. Yeah, CC, most definitely, and that's basically what it is. So the higher you get up, the more power you're dealing with. So that's why you tend to have more corruption. So a lot of people don't know how to handle that power without being corrupt. So when you dealing with any type of hierarchy, man, when you dealing with any type of system like that, the higher you get up that ladder, man, the more corrupt it is, the more wicked it is. And sadly enough, this applies to the church as well. And we all would like to believe that these religions are righteous and these churches are righteous and these pastors are righteous and they don't do no wrong. But we already know that that's inaccurate. We already know that that's not a fact. But a lot of people cling to the words of their pastors like they can say no wrong and do no wrong. Oh, Tav is most like I done seen that. It's basically like that. That's your membership fee type deal. And don't get me wrong. Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not mad at the pastors and all of that for basically doing what they feel like they was called to do and generating a profit from it. The part where I get a little frustrated is, like I said, with the congregation. When I played sports, man, I wanted the people that came up under me, or I wanted the people that was on my team to be better than I was, to work harder than I did. So I showed them how to do that. For the most part, when it comes to these pastors, when it comes to these churches, like, that's cool and all that you getting these offerings, you passing the collection plate around. Like, I'm cool with that. You generating a profit, doing something that you're passionate about, doing something that you feel like you was called to do. My problem is when it's time to help the people in that congregation. I feel like the churches could do a lot more. Some of them do, but I feel like the churches could do a lot more when it comes to helping the people in the congregation. just like they would help themselves, just like they are helping themselves. How you got pastors out here, man, worth 1 point something million, man, and there's people in their congregation that, again, barely keeping their lights on. Like, what are you doing for your congregation initially? The underdog mentality piece, what's going on with you? And Montel, when I bring up anything outside of whatever religion that it is that I'm interacting with, it's a problem. And it's always a problem. And that's part of the problem. Hence why I said the religion tends to hinder your growth and development mentally. If we can't have a civil discussion pertaining to things or like other beliefs outside of your religion, like that is a problem. You should be able to see the problem in that. We should be able to have a civil discussion. But more times, more than enough times, we're not able to have that in regards to like religious beliefs and things of that nature. Fun game, and I'm definitely going to transition over to Patreon, and I'm going to also transition over to my website eventually. Like, that's one of the goals that I have, because we already know how the censorship goes. We already know how they try to regulate, how they've been striving to regulate the internet and the content on the internet for years. Like, that's only going to get worse and heavier in due time, so I'm already going to get ahead of that ship. So I know what's coming. I'm prepared a little bit for it. I'm prepared a little bit for it. We know how it go. We ain't gonna let them shut us down. We ain't gonna let them stop the show. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Yeah, Lindell, it's a freshness that they possess, man. Like I said, sometimes the suits that they be rocking, man, be costing more than about 3-4 months of rent for some of them people, man. Like, just by them not buying that suit that they wearing that Sunday, they could pay somebody rent for up to 3 to 4 months. So it's like at the end of the day, man, I'm more so focused on what they doing for the congregation other than just, like I said, just preaching to them. Like, it's more that you need to do. It's more that you need to do. It's more that you need to do. Are these pastors willing to give their last to somebody in the congregation to get them back up on their feet? How many of them are willing to do that? How many of them are willing to give up their last, man, and just help somebody within their congregation? How many of them are willing to do that? How many of them are willing to actually do that? Yeah, Nick Lewis, and man, it's Bible study, but like you said, no classes on group economics. Because another thing too, like a lot of people that subscribe to the Bible, they have this view about like money and wealth, and they feel like if you acquire a lot of wealth, like you become wicked, you become corrupt. So a lot of people within those religions, man, they don't necessarily strive to acquire wealth and things of that nature. They are afraid of power because they feel like the power itself is going to corrupt them. So that's why they choose to live the lifestyle that they are living, because their religion actually discourages them from acquiring that wealth. And the crazy part about it is the people that are telling you that are wealthy. So they got you afraid to amass an enormous amount of wealth, but that's exactly what they are doing. So they got you afraid to amass this wealth, but that's what they doing. So that's crazy. So they worth 1.5 million, but they telling you not to strive for something like that. They telling you about how gluttony is a sin and things of that nature, man. How greed is a sin and things of that nature. And that's all they practicing. That's all they practicing. They gluttonous and they greedy. The same person that's practicing those things are telling you that those things are bad for you. So that's crazy, and that's why I tell people, man, I can't subscribe to anything like that, man. I know and understand the world we live in. I'm all about building that wealth, especially generational wealth. So I'm all about that. I don't want to adhere to a lifestyle or a way of life that's discouraging me from thinking along those lines. And that's what you would get a lot of times dealing with the religion, man. They trying to discourage you from acquiring an enormous amount of wealth. They telling you that's going to corrupt you. That's going to corrupt your mind. You don't need all of that type deal. Nah, generational wealth is needed. You need something to pass down to your children, man. That's what we need to start doing more of. Like, we need an enormous amount of wealth to pass down to these children so they don't have to continue to suffer and go down that wrong path. That's what they need. That's what we need. So we need to be coming together. Group economics. We need to get an economic Bible going. You got your holy Bible, but what's your economic Bible? We need an economic Bible, and we need to have that type of Bible study on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. Like, these are things like you got one part of it down. You already got a congregation, a group of people willing to come together and pool money together. So you already got that. So they can be utilizing that for a massive amount of change, and they not. That's one part of the equation, man. When you get all of those people together and you pooling money together from those particular people, but they utilizing it basically for themselves. Basically for themselves, man. Oh, sweet tea. Yeah, we already know how that go. What was that? What was the pastor name? What was his name that wouldn't open the doors? I done forgot his name. That wouldn't open his doors during the hurricane in Texas. I forgot his name. But that was wicked and that was savage. But we already know. We already expect that. We already expect them from them. I wouldn't expect anything less than that. Lindell, I pretty much, just for me doing the knowledge and studying our history, basically for the most part, yeah, Joel Osteen. I forget his name. Joel Osteen. I forget his name all the time. But yeah, that was crazy. And another person who I don't too much care for is TD Snakes. Can't stand him either. TD Snakes, TD Jakes, whatever you want to call him. I can't stand him either. But Lindell, for the most part, I just feel like we just like in tune with nature, man. And I just think us being in tune with nature like that tends to, just based off of some of the things that are incorporated within religion, like it's easy for us to like gravitate towards something like that, because we just like real in tune with nature and our emotions and things of that nature. And that's what those religions, like, they tend to prey on that. Like, and it's allegorical. Like, that's how we've always been as people. It's allegorical. It's not something to be taken literally and things of that nature. So we can relate to something more like that, just because of the language, the way that it's written. You read Psalms, that's poetry. What they say, Shakespeare wrote it or something like that. That's the conspiracy behind Psalms. When you decode it, I forgot the actual scriptures, but you will see shake in one line, and you go some lines down, and you see spear. So that's how you kind of immersed his name into that book of the Bible. But yeah, Psalms read like poetry. But yeah, so it's a war on the people's mind, man. It's a war on the feeble-minded, and that's what the church has been praying on the feeble-minded for a long time. Like, why isn't more of these people within these congregations coming out with businesses, being funded by the churches? Like, why is that not happening? Why are these children that are basically forced to go to church? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what's happening. They only going to church because mother or father getting them dressed, making them go to church. Why aren't these bright children that have a ton of fabulous ideas like those, why are those ideas not being funded more by these churches out here that are willing to baptize them and pray for them and all that type of good stuff? Why are their ideas not being funded more by these churches? Again, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but why is it not happening on this massive scale? So they want to get us in the church. They want to make it look like that we out here being wicked and doing wicked things because we not in the church. Then once you get into the church, then you're not really helping that child out. Hence, they wondering why it's a disconnect, and they wondering why a lot of these children, they questioning the church, and they not really too fond of going to church, because when they go to church, it's not really helping them out in the ways where they need help. It's only so many times you can quote a scripture on them. It's only so many times you can pray for them. Like at the end of the day, man, these little kids out here, man, they look at these young men and women out here, they looking for money. They looking for different things out here. They looking for different things out here. If the church ain't supplying it to them, they not with it, man. They trying to manifest their dreams. They trying to turn them dreams into reality. They thinking big out here. They thinking big out here. So they don't have time to be sitting down listening to this pastor preach about this Bible, man. They don't want to continue to hear you throw that Bible in their face to the point where now they feeling guilty and things of that nature, man. You got to meet these children where they at. So you can't continue to just hit them with scripture after scripture after scripture, man. You got to show these children something. You got to show them kids another way. You got to show them a way to build what it is that they striving to build. You got to show them a way to manifest or turn that thought that they have into an actual reality. Like, that's what they are looking for. Nick, for the most part, I just feel like I got a lot of reasons as to why I think it's so hard for people to understand something other than belief, other than their belief. I go back to what I do as a trainer. So when you have been conditioned to a certain way of life for a long time, like, that's conditioning. So if I tell you that the way that you eating currently is totally incorrect, and you've been eating that way for 30 years, even 20 years, that's a long time. So if you've been adhering to a lifestyle for 20 plus years, 30 plus years, 40 plus years, then as somebody comes along and tell you that everything that you doing is a lie, everything that you doing is not necessarily true or right and exact, then of course you're gonna meet that with some resistance, because it's challenging the status quo, it's challenging the norm for you. So that's anybody. So if you've been adhering to something for a long time and somebody comes in and they challenge that, then you're gonna be a little standoffish. You're gonna get in defense mode because you've been living this way of life for 20, 30 plus years. Like, that's one reason. And then secondly, it's just the emotional attachment to it. So if somebody is subscribing to a religion because that's what their parents subscribe to, maybe their parents have passed away. So now you have an emotional attachment to that. Well, my mother was a Christian and she raised me as a Christian, and my mother passed and me and my mother was close. So when you come and tell them Christianity was a lie, that could be striking the nerve, because now it's basically seeming like you calling their parents liars, and they got that emotional attachment to their parents. So a lot of times people don't look at it on that deep level. So a lot of people may be rejecting other beliefs because of emotional attachments. Like if your granny raised you and your granny raised you as a Christian, and your granny passed and somebody tells you Christianity is a lie, it's like you might take that as an attack on your granny subconsciously. So a lot of times that's what's going on. But for the most part, it's just conditioning. You've been conditioned and programmed to accept something that's true. So when somebody comes along and tell you that it's not true, then you like, wait a minute, I've been doing this for 30 years. Like, what do you mean it's not true? So that's why that tends to happen. And it's other reasons, but those are like the main reasons. Oh yeah, sweet tea, the children of the pastors, they live in the good life. They live in the fabulous life. But then you look at the children in the congregation, not necessarily working like that, not necessarily happening. When you look at the lives of the children in the congregation compared to the lives of the children of the pastors, it's totally different. Totally different. Totally different. And people don't, and people always ask me why I go in on this particular subject matter, because like I said, it's all about, I look at what these religions preach and teach and encourage, or supposedly, or supposed to encourage, or what's within the scriptures. Like the main things that are in the scriptures, man, that the scripture is actually preaching and teaching, these pastors are going against that themselves. So that's why I tend to have a problem with that. That's why I tend to have a problem with that. Like you going against your own teachers, man, and then you utilizing that to prey on the mind of the people and then get their money while doing it. If you just want to be a motivational speaker, just be that, then that's fine. But don't use this Bible as a weapon, as a tool to deceive the people. That's when I have a problem. Don't use that Bible as a tool. Don't start guilt tripping people. Don't start doing things like that. Don't use that Quran as a tool. Don't use your religion as a tool to manipulate and deceive people and to get money out of it. Like that's when I have a problem with it. When you use it as a tool to deceive, manipulate, and prey on the people. That's when it becomes problematic. And Nick Lewis, that's basically, and that's part of, and Nick, that's part of what it is. You believe something long enough, it becomes the truth. And that's basically essentially what's happening. And that's just programming, conditioning, and things of that nature. That's all that it is. That's all that it is. And that's all when it comes to religion. Like I had to break the conditioning. So I was coming across things that was challenging what it is that I was believing at that current time. And at first I was in defense mode. I'm like, nah, I ain't fooling with it. But I stayed eager. I stayed eager and I stayed open. I stayed open to that new information. So the more and more I dug, the more and more I was like, you know what? There's some truth in these words that I'm reading. I need to really reevaluate this way of life that I thought was correct. So you really got to keep your mind open. Peace, Ricardo, what's going on? Sadiq, most definitely. And that's what I recommend. That's the way of life that I recommend. But again, apparently you have people that feel as if the world is chaotic and the world is at odds and the world is at war because people have lost their religion. You have people that actually wholeheartedly believe that. And that in and of itself is ridiculous to people, where people think that because the reason why I say that is because these religions give people a moral code and they still not following it. So you don't need religion for a moral code. At the end of the day, you can have all of these moral codes. If the people are not willing to follow it, then it doesn't matter and it's irrelevant in the first place. But you don't need religion for that moral code. You don't need that. Beast by Bless Zone Out Music, peace, what's going on? Thunder Scorpion, peace, what's going on? Dominique, what's going on with you, my brother? So you got a lot of people that truly believe that we need that religion for a moral code. If you didn't have a religion, then the people would be out here just acting crazy like heathens. That don't explain a lot of these wars that went on under religion. Like I've talked about the Crusades and things of that nature, man. That don't explain any of that. That don't explain any of that. You don't need religion for that moral code. That moral code is already out here, man. We're gonna naturally come up with a moral code. We're gonna naturally determine certain things that's right, certain things that's wrong universally. That shouldn't be done. We're gonna naturally do that. Heck, the codes that we have that's incorporated within the religious text were created by man himself. So again, we're gonna naturally create that moral code. But again, that's just the creation of the moral code. People not following it. People not following it. People not really caring about the commandments. Most people can't even name them that's in a religion. Most people can't name the commandments off the top that are subscribing to these religions. Magic Rims, no doubt, man. You know, I know most about that history, man, just from going to these private schools. So yeah, that history is wicked. Like I said, if you didn't want to convert to Christianity or Catholicism, you was a heathen and we had to kill you. You either converted or you died type deal. You either converted or you were shunned by society. That's how we was living at one point in time. That's how we was living at one point in time, and that's ridiculous. And Dominique, that's just what it is, man. You got the 42 negative confessions. You got the the Hammurabi Code. Like those are, and what was that, ancient Babylon? Like those are morals, like principles to live by and follow. Like we just gonna always construct some codes and some principles to live by. That's gonna be something that we always do naturally. So if you didn't have a Bible, somebody somewhere would come down with some principles and say, these are some principles that I feel like we should live by as a people. That's naturally gonna happen. That's not something that is gonna come out of the sky or something. Like we don't need anything like that, because we're gonna construct that on our own. Yeah, Fungi the Observer, and most people, like I said, they get emotional. They get emotional when I say that same thing. And I just point out to the people within their religion. I'm like, you got a moral code within your religion. Is everybody that's following your religion following that moral code? The answer to that would be no. Like emphatically no. So like what, at the end of the day, what is it really doing? Like that religion is not forcing people to follow a moral code. So like I said, you got plenty of Christians, 80%, 90% of these Christians, they may not be living according to that Bible. I know 80 to 90% of the Christians are not eating according to the Bible. I got more respect for the Muslims. For the most part, when you come across a Muslim, they at least don't eat pork and things of that nature. Like I did the knowledge of that back in the day, and I came across some information that basically said the Quran got the, like not eating pork, the Quran got that from the Bible. So when a lot of people, and that was right when I was making the transition, the first thing that I gave up was pork, and they was just like, are you a Muslim? I was like, man, they got that from the Bible. So I said, you as a Christian, you as a Baptist, you as a Catholic, you shouldn't be eating pork. So the thing of it is, you asking me, am I a Muslim? Because we have associated abandoning pork with being a Muslim, when in reality, that's something that they got from the from the Bible. So you should not be eating pork if you follow the Bible. So instead of asking me, oh, are you a Muslim because you don't eat the pork, you should be asking me, are you a Christian? Are you a Catholic? You're not doing that though. Are you a Baptist? Because you shouldn't be eating pork either. Oh, Fiona, most pastors are definitely fraud. They are pimps. That's what they are. They frauds, and a lot of them are pimps for the most part. A lot of them are pimps, man. They equivalent to a pimp in my eyes. Oh, D Monty Magic, of course. It all came from something. It all came from something. It all came from something, and for the simple fact that people not wise enough to like come to that understanding. It's like you can't believe that your Bible always existed. It didn't. It's something that preceded that. It's something that precedes your Quran. Like it's things that precede these books that we gravitate towards. They wasn't always in existence. They had to be constructed. So during the time that they were being constructed, it was something that preceded that. It was something that preceded that. So a lot of people don't understand that. So like your book that you subscribe to, it wasn't the first book, man, that talked about some of these things. It wasn't the first book that gave people that moral code, those commandments, that way of life to adhere to that you're not adhering to. Like I said, man, if people really followed the Bible, man, for the most part, they'd be vegetarian. But when you go vegetarian, when you stop eating pork, they associate that with you being Islamic or being a Muslim. So again, I got a little bit more respect for the Muslims in that regard because they at least do that part. Now, the Muslims ain't in the clear neither. Now, certain things that I don't agree with on that end. But I can at least respect them more on the pork end, man, because the Christians and the Catholics and the Baptists shouldn't be eating pork for religious purposes. Just like the Muslims don't eat pork for religious purposes. If that's the explanation, because for the most part, they're not really explaining how trash and how toxic the pork actually is. They just refrain from it because of their religion. Like the Christians and the Catholics and the Baptists, they should simply be refraining from pork because of their religion. It's in there. It's in your book. Cam Cooper, peace. What's going on? Oh yeah, Sadiq. Yeah, we definitely built on them pyramids, most definitely. D Monty Matt, yeah, for the most part, when it comes to just the overall theme of most religions, like you also basically the golden rule, but you gotta watch. It's a lot of trick knowledge, especially in the Bible, because the Bible has been tampered with a lot over time, so it's been altered. So it's certain things in the Bible, man, certain words and phrases in the Bible that they meant to basically meant to make us passive and things of that nature. And then it's a lot of trick knowledge in regards to the nature of God and man, like I broke that down in the previous video. So they altered certain verses in the Bible, man, to just kind of benefit their agenda. So a lot of times when we read those modern Bibles, man, we gotta watch that. We gotta watch for that trick knowledge. TZ Frank, what's going on with you, my brother? Tavon, that's business 101, because like I said, that's marketing. And again, this the thing. Like, I don't really necessarily have a problem with it if you are legitimately doing everything that you can to really help your people out. Like, I wouldn't be like, if I got a congregation, if I got people that's rocking with me, that's really rocking with me, man, we got a decent relationship, and I'm worth 1.5 million. And I got some people that's in my congregation, man, that's going through some things. And like I said, we got a solid relationship, and it ain't a part where they trying to abuse me basically because they know that I'm worth this type of money. Matter of fact, they not even gonna have to ask that. If I know that this person is going through something and they within my congregation and I got it to give, I'm giving it. They let you know that that's part of the art and science of generating wealth, man, giving. So give back more to your congregation. So at the end of the day, like you can make your money, that way, man. You could be a pastor and make your money. I'm not mad at that. I'm not, because you get paid to do something you love to do. But like I said, man, when it comes, you got people looking up to you. You got people looking up to you that they not really gonna come to you and ask you for certain things. So you should take it upon yourself as that pastor, as that higher authority, as that leader in that field, as that expert in that field. You should take it upon yourself sometimes to just say, hey, I noticed that you've been asking for us to pray for you every Sunday. What's really going on? What is it? You didn't ask us to pray for your living situation every Sunday. What's the problem? And they break it down to you. You say, you know what? I'm gonna take care of it this month and next 2 months. Little things like that, man. Just seeing more things like that than just practicing the group economics and things of that nature. It's a lot of potential there. But again, that greed tends to get the best of them. D Monty Magic, I was just talking about that. I was just talking about the youth being rebellious in regards to religion and a lot of the elders not really understanding why. Nikki Peace, what's going on? And a lot of the elders not really understanding why. And I'm like, man, because they don't want to sit up in this church and just hear you quote scriptures and basically talk bad about them, talk down to them, let them know that they need to go back to the old way, like it's a new way. So you got to adapt and adjust and things of that nature. So these young folks ain't trying to hear you spit that Bible in their face 24/7. They not trying to hear that. They not trying to hear that. They want to know how they can generate some revenue. Like they want to build, man. They want to get active. They about some action. They want to do some things. They don't want to sit there and hear you quote these scriptures. That's not what they striving to hear. Terenzo, peace, what's going on? So at the end of the day, yeah, the book of Enoch, yeah. Yeah, I did some knowledge to that some years ago. Some years ago. But we too invested in these churches, man. We too invested in these churches. We too invested in these religions, and it got us brainwashed. It's got us brainwashed to a T. Most definitely, D Monty, man, most definitely. And I mean, these kids, like, contrary to popular belief, but like these kids nowadays they ain't dumb, man. You can't just tell them anything and they just accept it. And that's part of the problem too. When we're dealing with a lot of these elders, it's a control factor. So these elders want to control these kids, and they don't like people questioning them. They don't like the youth questioning them. So when you ask questions, that's a problem. They don't like you questioning their authority, questioning what it is that you have taught them. Like, they don't like that. So these young kids, they don't have no problems with questioning you, and that shouldn't be a problem. If a young man or a young woman, they ask me a question pertaining to my way of life, I should be able to answer that without getting hostile, without the hostility. Like, we should be able to have that discussion. When that child asks you a question pertaining to your religion, instead of you basically shunning that child for asking that question, you should be able to answer that question. But a lot of times when you ask certain questions to certain religious folks in certain religions, then it gets met with a lot of hostility, a lot of negativity, a lot of animosity, a lot of hatred, whatever the case may be. So it's certain questions that are off limits in regards to certain religions, and it should not be that way. But we know why it's that way. And a lot of adults, they cannot handle that. So that's why they come at the youth the way that they come at the youth, because the youth is going to ask questions. That's what you're going to do. The mind of that child is curiosity. So that child is going to ask questions. That's the nature of the child. That's the nature of the mind of a child, to ask questions. They are inquisitive. They need to know what it is that you are telling them to gravitate towards. They need to know why. Like, why are you telling me to gravitate toward this? You reading this verse in the Bible. What does it mean? Why does it mean that? How did you know that's what it means? Y'all done been there, done that. Y'all know how those kids ask those questions. So, like, those are questions that we should be able to answer without getting hostile toward that child. Yeah, they don't like questions at all. And I've been there, done that. I've been there, done that. Yeah, Thunder Scorpion, man, y'all know how my path went. I broke it down before, but that's basically what it was, man. Like I said, that's one of the first things that I started to tackle was religion, man. That was one of the first things, and I still tackled it. And I'm telling you, like, I study, like, for the most part, I study religions, man. I study these cultures, and I take the best part. So when you hear me talk about Bibles and Qurans and just all the holy scriptures, man, and all these religions, like, I study them because these religions, a lot of times, they have good things to offer. They have good things to offer. You just got to break them down. You got to read them. You got to study these things. And I take the best part from all these cultures, all these religions, and I apply them to self. Like I said, when you study in the Bible basically telling you to be plant-based, to be vegetarian. That's something that you can apply to self. The Bible is telling you not to be a poison animal eater, not to consume that flesh like that. Bible is telling you that. All you got to do is apply that to yourself. It's letting you know that it's right there. Just like the Quran, man, it's letting you know a certain way to live, man. And if you read it and can take that jewel and apply it to yourself, then there you go. But again, like I said, these pastors, they utilizing it as a tool for deception and manipulation. No, you got to dig into these books yourself. You got to study that Bible, study that Quran yourself, and take what you can from the studying of the Bible and that Quran and apply it to yourself to elevate your overall health and well-being and just elevate your mind, because you can find jewels and a lesson within everything. Sadiq, at first, when I started to ask more questions and distance myself from religion, a lot of people thought it was a phase, and a lot of people thought I was going crazy. And I was reading a lot of books, so a lot of people attributed it to the books. So they said the books that you read are driving you crazy. And that's when I started coming across people hitting me with the Bible verses that basically shun a person from becoming wiser. So basically, the more wisdom you attain, the weaker you become, type deal, man. That's somewhere in the scriptures, and that's not verbatim how it is. I paraphrased it, but a lot of people were spitting those type of verses out to me, telling me to be careful in regards to striving to acquire all of this knowledge, because how it can corrupt your mind, type deal. So a lot of people was hitting me with that type of information, that fear tactic, like I'm supposed to be afraid of acquiring information. Like that's the type of stuff that was going on when I was making the transition. Like I should be afraid of reading all these books because it can corrupt my mind, type deal. Like that was ridiculous. Like reading these books is the reason why I started focusing on my health. These books didn't corrupt me. These books elevated me. So like I'm not about to feel some type of way. Y'all not about to have me feeling bad because I'm striving for information. I'm striving for knowledge. And that's what people were doing. And I find that to be erroneous and just crazy and ridiculous. To shun somebody for getting knowledge, for seeking knowledge, for researching, for studying, for reading. Like that ain't even that serious. It ain't even that deep. Oh D Monty, and we already know. And we already know, and like I said, that'd be my biggest focus. That'd be my biggest focus. And Ricardo, with that particular statement in regards to knowledge seeking, at the end of the day, like we gonna always question the source. So we gonna always, you should always fact check. But at the end of the day, doing the knowledge, as we call it, doing the one, knowledge itself, like it all revolves around you taking the best part. What can you take from what you just read? What can you take from what you're studying? What can you take from what you are researching? Always strive to extract the lesson from what it is that you are studying. Sometimes the message is a lot bigger than the messenger. So sometimes even when it comes from a certain source, it's a message to be attained from it. So at the end of the day, I'm never going to discourage anybody from reading anything, because everything and anything has a message that you can extract from it. Everything. When you look deeply enough, you can find that message in any and everything, no matter what it is. Yeah, Dominique, and it was crazy the amount of flack that I got when I just basically got a Quran. So I started dealing with Bible, Quran, and Buddhism. Like that was like my trinity at one point, studying those three things. I was just studying the Bible, Quran, Buddhism. And it was crazy the amount of flack that I got from having a Quran, which I still have it, and then just buying books on Buddhism. Like the amount of flack that I got, I'm like, do y'all even realize what's within these books and how, like, some of the jewels that's within these books? Like, for you to be calling it wicked, that I'm like reading a Quran or something pertaining to Buddhism, and you not know what's associated with those particular books and with that particular lifestyle, that's ignorance on your behalf. That's ignorance on your behalf. Oh, Thunder Scorpion, it moves that, man. You can, like I said, I can, man, at 30 right now, I can turn on a cartoon and just take some life jewels from it. Man, I can turn on a cartoon right now and just get some jewels from it. If you look hard enough. Matter of fact, most of the cartoons was dropping a lot of science back in the day. Like we just wasn't really focusing on them. Sadiq, most definitely, like that's basically one of their wishes with the one world government type deal. They want everybody to adhere to the same type of like basically religion. So at the end of the day, like, and then another thing that started causing flack when I started studying science. Like I started getting them science books and things of that nature. A lot of science books that was basically debunking religion. So again, like I tell you, I study everything. Like we say, I study life around me. So I'm gonna study the religions, and then I'm gonna study the science that opposes the religion. Man, that's the way you gotta do it. So another thing people don't practice in regards to studying a lot, they basically study what's comfortable to them. So they're going to study things that benefit their way of life, their perspective at that particular time. Whatever agrees with that, that's what they're going to read. If it disagrees with it, they're not going to study it. That's the only way to sharpen your sword. You got to study things that oppose what you believe, that oppose your perspective. You got to study things that argue against what it is that you fool with. That's the only way to strengthen that sword, and a lot of people not doing that. Ricardo, it's not about the science making sense. It was the fact that I just started studying the science, and that caused a flack. That caused a lot of flack. When in and of itself, it shouldn't. If people can read the Bible and the Quran, which a lot of that doesn't make any sense, then it's really not a problem for a person studying science. Really shouldn't be a problem. But when you start studying science and start bringing science to the equation, that's a problem. When I'm allowing you to subscribe to your religion. Studying science shouldn't cause that conflict. It shouldn't cause that conflict. Studying physics shouldn't cause that conflict. Oh yeah, Airview, and I haven't even gotten into anime like that, man, but a lot of people around me are. That's one thing that I may get into. Because I've heard about it just being a lot of Jews within them. Cam Cooper, I talked about that. I talked about that some videos ago. If you subscribe to these religions, you should not be celebrating any holiday. What holiday is coming up right now? Christmas. If you read Jeremiah 10:3, I believe that's the verse. Jeremiah 10:3, that Bible verse, you could read that right now if you got access to it. If you could look it up. Jeremiah 10:3 is letting you know that you should not be celebrating Christmas. You should not have a tree in your home. Jeremiah 10:3 is letting you know that. It's right there in the Bible. It's right there in the Bible that people read. Jeremiah 10:3 is letting you know that you should not be celebrating Christmas. You should not be having a Christmas tree in your crib. Jeremiah 10:3 is letting all of the people who subscribe to the Bible know that. Clear as day. It's right there in the Bible. Yet, most people that subscribe to the Bible, adhere to the lifestyle, adhere to the Christian lifestyle, whatever the case may be, they got a tree in their crib right now, and they about to celebrate Christmas. It's right there. Static saying, peace, what's going on? And Thunder Scorpion, that's another thing people don't understand about science, which is why a lot of things are called theories in science. So the thing about a scientist is they always striving to prove something to be wrong. And they always are open to the possibility that they may be wrong, hence why certain things change. At one point in time, science told you that everything revolved around the earth. Then that came out to not be true, and they changed it up and told you everything revolves around the sun. So science is more open to change from my experience than religion. That religion ain't about to say what's in this Bible is wrong, so therefore let's really change it. No, but science has done that. Science has done it. When you look at science on that level, like science has came out and said, oh, we had this view of the world that was incorrect based off of further research. Therefore, the model must change. That's why I will give the one up on science opposed to religion. A lot of people act like religion can't change. What's in this book is set in stone. Hey, and Fungate Osho is my man. But yeah, Tavon posted there go the scripture that I'm talking about. Yeah, Dominique, man, I'm gonna get on that anime kick one of these days. Yeah, Dominique, and I mean it's a harsh truth because again, it's programming. We've been programmed to follow and celebrate these holidays, but it's right there in the Bible. Definitely Christmas. Christmas is right, and every time I will point that out. I used to point that out on social media. You getting deleted by people. People talking bad about you. It's like, why are you talking? I'm utilizing the book that you swear by to basically inform you of something. How is that my fault? How does that make me evil when it's in your book that you subscribe to? So why you delete me off of Facebook? But that tells you the truth hurts the guilty, and the truth hurts. So like, that didn't make any sense to me. It's like, man, I'm quoting out of your book. I'm using your book to drive a point. And it's like people couldn't accept that. Cam Cooper, man, that's crazy because I really wasn't ever into Yu-Gi-Oh. I was a Pokemon cat, man. I used to rock with the Pokemon. Yeah, Dragon Ball. Yeah, same with Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh. I was like Pokemon. That was it. Out of that trinity. Yeah, D-Monty, that's what I'm talking about. That Jeremiah 10:3 let you know about that tree. It like one thing you for sure shouldn't be doing is having a tree in the crib. So if you just want to exchange gifts, whatever the case may be, cool. If you just want to exchange gifts, we cool. But like you most definitely shouldn't be having that tree in the crib. And then when they tell you that it's the birth of Jesus, like we already know that the actual story that people throw out there in regards to why they celebrate Christmas, we should know that that's false. We should know that that's false. We can break down according to the Bible, like in regards to the birth of Jesus, like and how it definitely wasn't around the time of the year where it was cold. So if anything, if he actually existed, he was definitely not born, on no December 25th. Like, and that's just utilizing the Bible to drive that point. That's utilizing, you can utilize the Bible to debunk that. So basically the reasoning behind Christmas is false, which is one of the reasons why you call it Xmas. They put the X on that mask, letting you know that it's unknown. So at the end of the day, they telling you, hey, we celebrating the birth of, but then they tell you it's Xmas, which means unknown, so you really don't know the birth. Or you know that this is not the actual date of birth, but that's the reason why it's called Xmas. That's the reason why we nickname it that. Because at the end of the day, that's definitely, just if we utilize the Bible, that's definitely not the time that he would have been born if he was born in and of itself in the first place. But that's why they call it Xmas to begin with. That's one of the reasons why they call it Xmas. Oh, Michael, yeah, most of them definitely have it. They may use an app to give them like the Bible verse of the day or something. They may just use that for their sermon for the Sunday. Yeah, D Monty Magic, yeah, most definitely, man. But like I said, we gotta break free, and we gotta free the mind. We gotta free the mind. If something is not promoting that free mind, if something is not freeing your mind, liberating the mind, then you just need not gravitate towards that, man. We should be liberating that mind, should be freeing that mind. If anything is trying to place shackles and chains on that mind, you need to free yourself from that particular lifestyle. Nothing should be discouraging you from freeing your mind and liberating your mind and opening up your mind to new possibilities, new realities, new truths, and things of that nature. You should always be open to those new possibilities, because it's always a possibility that what you believe could be incorrect. It's always a possibility. Oh, Dominique, most definitely. Like I said, and that's basically what I was alluding to. That's basically what I was alluding to. Yeah, Thunder Scorpion. Yeah, that system of thinking will be right up my alley. That system of thinking to be right up my alley, because a lot of times, like I said, it's more so a fear tactic. Like religion uses a lot of fear tactics and whatnot. Funky the Observer, man. I was into Pokemon heavy for a minute. Used to get those holographic cards and things of that nature. Before they came out with the holograms, you had holographic Pokemon cards. But that fear tactic, man, one of the things, once I got over the aspect of fear, like once I was able to just face the whole concept of fear, that's when I really started to remove myself from religion. Because for the most part, I was believing in religion, in the religion that I was subscribing to, just based off of fear. Oh, D Monty Magic, man, the black entrepreneur boom, definitely out here. We just gotta get heavier with supporting one another. Like we just gotta get heavier with it. And then on the flip side of that, because I always talk about us supporting one another, but then on the flip side, the black entrepreneurs, we gotta do better with like our customer service, man. We gotta make sure we giving people quality products, quality services, whatever the case may be. So we gotta make sure we doing our duty as entrepreneurs as well in regards to providing quality services, quality business, quality products. So we got to make sure we're doing that. Can't expect people to support you constantly or consistently and you not supplying them with quality products and services. So that's another thing. A lot of people just think that simply because I'm a black business, my people should support me. Well, if the business is not legit, if it's not of good quality, then why should they support you? So again, we got to make sure we put in that work as business people, as entrepreneurs, make sure we are supplying the people with that quality, with that good quality. Sweet Tea, you already know that's that Psychology by Dead Prez. That's my song. Orlando, peace. What's going on with you? And Michael, most definitely, and that's basically what I'm alluding to. Just stop believing them blindly. If you trust your pastor, like if y'all done built up this good relationship and you trust the advice of your pastor, I'm not mad at that. But just don't believe in anybody blind. Like I don't believe in anybody blindly, even the people that I trust and respect. If they tell me something, I'm not just gonna blindly believe it and accept it. I'm gonna do the knowledge to it. I'm gonna say, all right, they told me this, and then I'm gonna just basically evaluate it and attach it to myself and see, all right, is what they told me suitable for my way of life? Is it conducive for my health and well-being? Will it help me Would it help me do whatever it is that I came to him for? So like that's how I'm gonna assess the situation according to those metrics. I'm not just about to take whatever it is that they told me and then take it as the gospel, take it as the truth. Our air view, I've heard that as well. Like that's a marketing technique. Like I said, y'all know I got the degree in marketing, but that's a marketing technique. That fear, and that's what a lot of those they use that fear tactic. They use that fear technique. That fear, if you don't pull money to this religion, if you don't put the money into this church, like you destined for hell, you destined to burn for eternity. Like that's fear type deal. That fear gonna keep the people in. That fear gonna keep the people putting that money into it. Like that's just what it is. Orlando, you own it. You own it. You don't need that meat. You own it. So hey, that's the way that you gotta live there, Orlando. You good. Keep that up. D Monty Magic, man, we invested 2 years in black crypto, in some of these local black businesses, some of the YouTube channel. Like if we just invested in all of that, like we'd be good. We'd be good. We got a lot of brothers and sisters out here doing powerful things that if we just consistently supported them strong for 2 years, we'd be good. We'd be good. Yeah, yep. The right questions are everything. So always ask the right questions. Yep, Magic Rims, I've seen that with my own eyes. Like I've seen that repeatedly. And I've seen that consistently. Yeah, Thunder Scorpion, and that's some of the that's I'm glad you touched on that. Because we always want to give credit to like a being instead of like what happened, how it happened, and things of that nature. So when we start talking about everybody goes to the creation of the universe, and they was just like, well, who created everything? I'm like, well, how was everything created? What sparked everything? It may not be a who, it may be a what, it may be a how. So again, like a lot of people don't be understanding that. So a lot of times when I had those conversations, I was like, I said, for one, you assume that I think a who created anything. So I'm not, you would assume that I'm saying an entity created everything. How do you know that I believe and subscribe to that? But that's just the automatic assumption that people make. Like that's the automatic assumption, and I have to correct it every time. So I'm like, they be like, well, who do you think created the universe or the world? I said, why does it have to be a who? Why are you assuming that I think a who or a person or a deity created anything? That's an assumption. There are other theories out here, so it ain't that don't revolve around a who created the universe. Ricardo, I'm gonna reverse that. A lot of things scientists talk about. A lot of okay, no, I had to read what you said, but yeah, for the most part, I've made that correlation. Sometimes it's just different language. But again, that science that was out here, which a lot of people have the wrong interpretation of what science actually is. But like the science that was out here precedes the Bible. So that's why you can even take things like, and that's why it says allegorical, you can take things like Adam, Eve, and you can look at atoms and evolution and things of that nature, which those type of theories and things of that nature precede the Bible. So then you could actually start seeing a connection in regards to where they may have possibly gotten that from. When at the end of the day, all of this stuff can stem back to you just actually studying the universe. So we can go back to a Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. We can go back to man, woman, and child. We can go to Heru, Isis, Osiris. It's all going to go back to like sun, moon, and stars. So it's all going to be a reflection of the actual universe itself. Orlando, you own it then. You own it. You own it. You making the moves. You making the proper moves. Nick, now what situation you referring to? Oh, Thunderscore. Man, you take me back to my days right around when I had just got into college and I started breaking down the Bible and I couldn't get past Genesis. Man, every verse I read in Genesis, I had a question. Oh, okay, Nick. Yeah, most definitely. And like I said, that's a whole video right there. It's a whole video. Dominique, most definitely, man, most definitely. Yeah, a lot of people just got to break down the word. A lot of people fear the word science, and it's like that ain't nothing to fear. Now, of course, people are you got certain scientists out here that's using science to corrupt and using science for wicked things. But you got, like I said, you're gonna have that in every facet of life with everything. Just like you got people who do what I do as trainers, and they use that status to like corrupt. But you got righteous trainers out here that don't do that. So you got that everywhere that you go. You got that everywhere that you go. So like at the end of the day, like if these churches ain't gonna help the people out like they should, man, then that's what we gotta do. And that just comes with support, man. Like I said, just pooling that money, supporting these businesses, man, supporting these channels, whatever it is that you gotta support to support your people, man. We should be striving to do that on a massive scale, on a massive level. Like, it's really no excuses. It's actually a lot easier, more so than it's ever been, to like support people. Orlando, most definitely. And that's why I tell people that's why I value ownership. That's why I'm all for ownership. Like, I'm all for ownership. Nick, that's do I think we build on smaller levels and expand outward? Yes. Yeah, Thunder Scorpion, man. And then then when you break it down, they say you misinterpreting it. When you break it down like that. Yeah, D Monty, I was doing the knowledge to matter and antimatter. Like, once I got into like quantum physics back in the day, like I started coming across all of that type of stuff, man. I started coming across all of that. All of that back in the day, and it all stemmed from me getting interested in quantum physics. So like everything just started stemming from that. Rude boy, what's going on with you? Cam Cooper, man, I forgot the book. I think the first book that I read, I think it was something called like Quantum Enigma or something like that. I'm gonna look that book up, and then I'm gonna make sure I get the exact title for you. But I think it was something along the lines of like Quantum Enigma or something like that. I think that was like the first book I read on quantum physics. And Ricardo, science doesn't try to explain everything. Like certain things, science is gonna let you know that it can't explain, but that don't necessarily mean that like it's mysterious. It's just something that can't be explained. So science is striving to explain certain things, but it understands that certain things that they don't have an answer for. And that's okay with me. So it's like almost being fine with being able to say I don't know something. Science does that. Science will let you know that, like, if it's something that they don't know or something that can't be explained as of yet, they will tell you that. So that's not a problem. I don't feel like I need to know everything. It's certain things that I don't know, and I'm fine with saying I don't know. So nobody says science knows everything, but it's a whole scientific process in order to like find out the answer to something. So it's a whole process that you undergo to strive to find that understanding, to strive to find that explanation. But nowhere are you about to find a scientist that claims they know everything. Like, that's impossible. The no religion knows everything. No scientist knows everything. Like, that's impossible. That's impossible. But an honest scientist, that's what they're gonna admit though. Like, I dealt with science on a lot of levels. Like, we fine with saying that we can't explain this at this point in time, but we are currently doing studies to try to gain an explanation. But there's certain things that you show right that we cannot explain, but that don't mean there's some mysterious force behind it neither. So a lot of times that's what we come across. So you'll come across a scientist saying that something can't be explained, then we attach a mysterious force as to the reason behind it existing or whatever the case may be. That don't necessarily mean that that's the cause. Because just because a scientist is saying they can't explain something, or just because somebody is saying they can't explain something, doesn't mean it's a mysterious force behind it in regards to the cause. So a lot of times that's what we do. Something that can't be explained. It's like, for the most part, when I've talked to religious people, they love it when a scientist or somebody that deals with science say they don't know something. Then all of a sudden, that's when they bring the religion out and say, well, your science can't answer this, my religion can. So if you can't answer, we're going to go back to just the origin of the universe, which we already got theories for that. But if you go to the origin of the universe, and let's just say it's a small aspect of it that a scientist say, well, I don't know. Then when you say, I don't know, then that religious person is going to say, well, see, there we go. So it must be caused by this God that I believe in. It must be a mysterious force behind it if the scientist doesn't know, if the scientist doesn't explain it, or if the scientist can't explain it, or the person that subscribes to the science can't explain it. That's what tends to happen. That just means I can't explain it. Rude boy, man, I've been powerlifting a lot as of late. And I've been kind of getting my calories up a little bit more. But then also, this hoodie is a little bit oversized too. But I definitely have put on a little bit more muscle. But it's light work. It may be like 2 pounds of muscle, but I just been lifting a lot heavier in regards to the weights, just powerlifting a lot more. Cam Cooper, that's the book. That's it. That's the book that I started with in regards to quantum physics. And that Terenzo just brought up a good book too, Quantum Creativity. That's a good book too. I did the knowledge to that book as well. That's a good book. Yeah, nothing wrong with seeking answers at all. And at the end of the day, that's what a scientist is going to do. Like, that's what we're going to do. Somebody that deals, like, if I care about it strongly enough, then I'm gonna go through the scientific process to try to come up with an explanation or an answer. If I really don't care about it, I'm not going to waste my time. So some things I just really don't care to find out about. It doesn't really excite me or intrigue me. So I'm not about to go out of my way to try to prove a point about something that I really don't even care about, or disprove something that I really don't care about. Now, if I care about it, if I really want to know the answer to it, then I'm going to undergo the process. D-Monty Magic, I used to use the weighted vest back in the day, back in like middle school when I used to run and do pull-ups and all that type of stuff, man. When you take it off, you feel lighter, man. Feel like you're ready to tackle the world. But I wouldn't have no problems with doing calisthenics and that weighted vest. I did it way back in the day, like going into high school. Yeah, so I used to do a lot of like weighted vest things back in the day. Just kind of get me ready for like football and whatnot. So I did a lot of workouts with the weighted vest. I used to keep it on. I used to do ankle weights, but man, ankle weights it's a whole different ball game. But I used to have on ankle weights and then a weighted vest. I don't necessarily do that now, but I ain't got no problems with it. Definitely bang out you some push-ups, pull-ups, dips, planks, all that. You can go for a run, do all that. You can do all that with that weighted vest. Jump rope with the weighted vest, man. It's just it adds on that resistance. So anytime you add resistance, I'm all for it. Because that's progression. That's what you need to do. Yeah, D-Monty, I was about to say, yeah, them ankle weights trash, man. Messed me up, but yeah, that was back in the day. You live and you learn type deal. But the weighted vest didn't necessarily do anything to me. Orlando, that's one thing I'm gonna start getting into that, man. Learning how to construct these computers. But man, I done reached that time, y'all, man. I done did my event, man, got my point across. Appreciate y'all tapping in, tuning in to your boy. Y'all enjoy the rest of this Monday. I got some things I gotta attend to. I got some knowledge that I gotta do, and I got some smoothies I gotta drink, some good food that I gotta eat. So I'm gonna probably holler at y'all again on Wednesday, maybe around the morning time, or maybe like the regular time that I used to go live, like 3 to 4 o'clock Central Time. So y'all stay easy. So y'all enjoy a little Monday afternoon, Monday evening. Y'all get y'all some good food in, drink your water, get some rest in, do the affirmations, meditate, get some reading in, all that good stuff, man. Y'all stay positive, y'all stay peaceful, y'all stay centered. I'll catch y'all on Wednesday, man. Appreciate y'all. Peace.